What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I got a video request to try to analyze how Artis Gilmore would be or how he would perform in today's NBA. These types of videos are difficult to do because you got to look at so many different variables when it comes to this. Not just as simple as taking a player from a time period and then trying to have him adjust to being in today's NBA, because then you have to look at, well, okay, are you saying take him from, say, 1975 and then put him in today's game? Or are you saying take Artis Gilmore and have him, say, being born 45 years later? What are we doing? Because if we did that, then his game would probably be different. He would be looking up to different players, just because the game is different today because of the way it's played and analytics. You know, the way his skill set will probably be different. So I guess the best way to do this is the time machine solution. Just take him from 1975 and the way that he played the game then and drop him into today's NBA. The problem I have with doing that is, if you do that, as physical as Artis Gilmore is, and as generally unphysical as the game is today, I see a guy that's going to be in consistent foul trouble, fouling out at a record rate. So he would have to make adjustments. He couldn't be as physical, which was his game. So, I mean, he would have to make some adjustments, especially defensively. He could not be as aggressive in today's game. Now, if he was playing 20, 25 years ago, barbecue chicken. Literally, Artis Gilmore would have been another version of Shaq. But not as athletic, but even stronger. Even stronger. This is a man that could bench press 480 pounds, I believe. Something to that effect. Yeah, we talk about a behemoth of a human being in his peak. 265 pounds, probably 4% body fat. Man, well, let me just say this. I think if he's playing today, he's going to be unstoppable near the rim. All right? So much so, I think it was reputation for brute strength and his physicality, and the way that you really can't defend in the paint as much as we used to. So I think he'll get a lot of uncontested putbacks, layups, dunks, even some transition buckets. I think, but I think if he made the necessary adjustments, learning that he's going to have to be more cerebral defensively, more by positioning, trying to get guys out of their comfort zones, not being as just physically hands-on like you could get away with in the 70s and 80s. That will probably help alleviate what maybe him getting into foul trouble. But I still think, just because of his strength, guys are going to be flopping, so I still think he'll get in foul trouble. I think that's just going to be an inevitable flaw in his game. Another flaw in his game, if I recall from watching clips of him, is that he was turnover prone. He didn't have the best hands, and he had smallish hands for a guy his size, 7'2", 265. So oftentimes he would fumble the basketball, with entry passes, attempted entry passes, fumbling the basketball in general. He was prone to getting stripped at times. So those would be some of the weaknesses. I think he would be turnover prone for a big man, and I think he would get into foul trouble. Another thing about Artis Gilmore is that a lot of people felt like he didn't live up to his expectations as an NBA player. He had a Hall of Fame career as an NBA player, but he wasn't the force that he was in the ABA. Just check out some of his numbers. And by the way, I think it's a travesty that Artis Gilmore did not make the top 75, let alone the top 50 in NBA history. The top 75, but Anthony Davis was. That's a disgrace. But for his entire career, Gilmore averaged 18.8 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game. Scored almost 25,000 points, corralled more than 16,000 rebounds, and blocked more than 3,000 shots. But this is the difference in his NBA stats versus his ABA stats. Well, he literally was like the Wilt Chamberlain of the ABA. In the NBA, he averaged 17.1 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. All right, but he did shoot in the NBA nearly 60% from the floor, which was for a very, very long time the all-time record for highest field goal percentage for a player in the history of the NBA. Now, he has since been surpassed by several players, but that's somewhat misleading because guys who are garbage players, like the dude who played for the Knicks, or guys who just basically get cleanup buckets, lob dunks, putbacks, layups, fast break, that makes up a good percentage of their shots. And since they don't take a lot of shots anyway, they're by nature going to shoot a higher percentage because the game is so different. You don't have bigs clogging in the paint. You don't have to worry about someone always guarding them, making it more difficult. So they get a lot of easy buckets that way. So therefore, field goal percentages from big men have gone up exponentially since 2000. I'll give you an example I'm talking about since before in videos. In 2000, the average field goal percentage for a center was approximately 47% from the floor. By 2010, the average field goal percentage was about 50%. So it had gotten higher. It was getting a little bit easier for bigs to score because of the rule changes. 2005, 2006 helped along that route as well. By 2020, centers were making more than 54% of their field goal attempts, and now it's close to 58%. So it's getting easier and easier for the average center to score. But Gilmore in his ABA career, the point I want to make too, he averaged 22.3 points and 17.1 rebounds and 3 block shots per game in his ABA career. But he took more shots per game in his ABA career. In his NBA career, he took 10.5 shots per game. As a matter of fact, I think the most shots he ever took in a season in the NBA was 78-79 when he only averaged 16 shot attempts. When he was playing with the Spurs, he took 9 to 10 shots per game in his prime. He did not take a lot of shots. He was as aggressive with the in the NBA as he was in the ABA. In the ABA, he averaged almost 16 shot attempts per game. And let me see, the most he took was about 16 to 17 shots a game. So he was offensively much more. He was just much more aggressive offensively in the ABA than he was in the NBA. And he led the ABA in rebounding 4 times. Matter of fact, his first 3 seasons in the ABA, he averaged almost 18 rebounds per game. So, I don't know. I guess in today's NBA, I don't know. Off the top of my head, he would have been very accurate from the field. I'm thinking if he shot 60% from the floor on approximately 12 shots per game in the 80s and 70s, I'm thinking if he took 12 shots a game, he's pretty much going to be around the basket. If you consider that Jokic shot 63% from the floor this year, right? And Jokic took outside shots, mid-range shots, long mid-range shots. You look at the fact that Jokic shoots 71% from the floor from 3 feet inside, I would give Gilmore, I'd say he would shoot about 65% from the floor, 66% from the floor. I don't think he still would have taken a lot of shots because he would have needed to. There'll be some games where there are mismatches. Maybe he takes more. Serious mismatches, I should say, which would be a lot of games, though, actually. But I give him, I'd say I'd give him 26 points a game. I give him 13 and a half rebounds per night. I give him about 2.7 blocks, 66% shooting, maybe. I think he still would be a little inconsistent because I think he would still have issues with being turnover prone and fouling out in some games or having some issues with fouling. And I tend to see that for him. And I think that he would, if he's allowed to stay in the game and they don't call him for fouls, I tend to think that he would be most effective against, say, finesse players, finesse centers, guys who are known for getting their baskets. Someone like Anthony Davis, I think he'd have a lot of success against him. Anthony Davis probably would fake illnesses and shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Fake injuries. Giannis and Artis would be a nice battle. I think Artis would force Joel Embiid to be more of a jump shooter. You know how he do. Jokic's skill set would, I think, be a challenge to Artis Gilmore. Anybody that's tough mentally, I think you have to be tough mentally to go up against Artis because Kareem hated playing against this guy. He hated it because he was so damn physical. Still the guy that damn strong. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.